Yo, what's up viewers, it's your boy Blaze Hollow coming at you again with another What If, and this time I'll be bringing you What If Blaze was in My Hero Academia. But before we get into all that, I want to let you know that we've been having a little bit of technical issues here at the channel along with my editor. So that's why we've not been able to upload lately. He's especially going to be out of town next month. That's going to delay everything a little bit more, but don't worry, when he comes back, I'll be coming back with Hormone Deku. But before we can worry about that, let's get into this video that you came in for today. Let's start that intro.
I honestly don't think you can become a hero.
4 months have passed as Blaze was in the training room perfecting his new techniques as he was training with Fiber Master. As he broke apart one of the targets and a robot that was in the room, that's when somebody walked into the room, stopping the entire simulation, revealing himself to be Dubstep. Sorry to interrupt your training, but I was able to hack into the association files and find out that there's a slave auction tonight. Blaze had all the fibers that he was controlling stitched back together into his shirt. No, you made the right call by stopping me. What time is the auction and who is going to be attending? Dubstep tapped on his watch as a digital screen started to pop up to show the both of them. The auction starts around 8 and will be at the edge of town in a warehouse that will be leading underground. Some of the agents from the Hero Association will be there to make their own bets, along with a few high society types and a few villain groups, but no big names from the villains. Blaze had an evil smirk on his face. So we're going to be pissing off a lot of people tonight, but let's not worry about that. Why don't you go get the gear ready while I get a hold of Fred? Dubstep starts to walk out as he stops in the doorframe as he turns to look at Blaze in the training room. Should we be worried about the agents from the association? They could be bringing hybrid children or possibly erasers. Blaze walked over to one of the walls of the training room as he tapped on it as it opened up, showing a mini fridge as he pulled out a bottle of water. I'm hoping on it. I want to send a message to the entire association. Don't fuck with people like us. A couple of hours later, as the group was in a van across from the warehouse where the auction was going to be held, they were finishing getting their gear on. When they were ready, they go over the final steps of their plan. Blaze put his mask over his face, making sure that it was secure. Alright, here's the plan. Dubstep and I are going to be heading into the building to free the slaves by using the underground passageways. Blaze then turns to look towards Fred. He'll be distracting them on the surface, Fred, by causing a little bit of a commotion. Once you lead them away from their station, make your way back towards the van and drive it to the rendezvous point. If you're not able to do that, destroy the van and get out of there, but make sure to stay in perfect radio contact with me at all time. Fred nodded his head a little bit, worried if he was ready to get into this kind of fight. All I can say about this plan is that if we fail, we gotta make sure to get out of there together, because if we don't, my mom will never let any of us live it down. Dubstep rolls his eyes as he pulls out his laptop, getting ready to shut down some of the security measures around the building. I still think we should have asked her if she wanted to join us on this expedition. Blaze just shook his head, knowing that this wasn't the first and wasn't going to be the last time that someone brought this to his attention. This is a job for the younger generation. She's done her part and suffered enough. Let's just do it ourselves. Dubstep didn't say anything for a minute as he was typing away at his computer when he finally got a nice little beep on his computer. Successfully shut down the mainframe. We have 20 minutes to get in and do it, but we only have 2 minutes before things start going back online. The entire group nodded their head as Fred ran off to get ready to be a distraction, while Dubstep and Blaze finally made their way to the building, giving a few clicks on the radio receiver for Fred to know to start making some noise. As Fred banged on some dumpsters, which caught the guards' attention once they were away, Blaze made his way into the building as he headed to the lower floors, while Dubstep headed up towards the control room, trying to be their eyes in the sky. Blaze was keeping an eye on his watch as he realized that about 5 minutes has already passed as he continued to go down corridor after corridor. He finally found what he was looking for as he could hear the sounds of crying people, but one of them was kinda laughing, so he decided to wait for a minute to hear everything. What do we have here? A girl with pink skin who was chained to the wall was just crying her eyes out. I can't believe that this is happening to me. I just want to go home to my family. A girl with blonde hair in the cell over was giggling like she was enjoying things. First time, I'm guessing? Pink-skinned girl was confused as she had tear marks nearly bleached into her cheek. Yeah, what about you? The blonde jolted around in her chains in excitement. Oh no, not my first time. Maybe my 6th or 7th. They're still trying to figure out which one will break me. Pink-skinned girl was a little bit confused, wondering if the blonde was crazy, seeming that she was enjoying to be here. I think you've already lost your mind. And what's wrong with that? Sometimes those who are crazy have the most fun in life. Both of the girls looked up in shock, not knowing who that was, as they saw a man covered in a black skin-tight hero outfit, not able to see his face at all, but only the glowing of his eyes. Blonde was confused, never seeing this person before, wondering if he was a new hire. So, are you with the heroes or are you with the slave owners? Because depending on your answer will determine how I react to you. Blaze chuckled a little bit, entertained by the whole scenario. I'm not with the slave owners, but I'm no hero, at least not legally, but you can call me Void. The girl with the pink skin started to rustle in her chains like she wanted to break out of them. Are you here to rescue us? Blaze hopped off of the cage as he looked at the door and pulled out a lockpicking kit and started to work on the lock. Yeah, I'm here to rescue all the slaves here tonight. Well, all of my team is. So can I get both of your girls' names? The blonde was the most excited as she was giggling like crazy as she was staring at this entire situation. My name is Toga. I was abandoned by my family and sold into slavery. I've had 6 to 7 masters and each one of them has tried to break me, but I basically have drained them dry before they could ever get the chance. Blaze was a bit surprised hearing all that, but was very curious about what she meant by sucking them all dry. Interesting. What about you, Pinky? The pink girl was trying to calm her breathing because she was freaking out by the overjoyed that she might be getting away from this entire place. My name is Mina Ashido. I was picked up off the street by some strangers who drugged me with something to make me pass out, and I woke up here a few hours ago. Blaze was finally able to open the lock to both of their doors as it swung open. He went into Toga's room first and broke her chains off of her, and proceeded to break Mina loose. Well, I don't like either of your stories because they're both very sad in their own right. Mina jumped onto the man known as Void, hugging him tight as she was letting the tears run from being overjoyed. Thank you. Thank you so much for saving us. Toga shook her head back and forth. Sorry to burst your bubble, girl, but we're not out of the woodwork yet. Just because we're out of our cages doesn't mean that we're free. Plus, we need to open up the other cells or else he's not going to leave with us to help us get out of here. Mina was starting to gather herself as she noticed all the other cages were full of people. I might be able to help. I have an acid quirk that can melt through metal, so I can help us get the job done quicker. Blaze nodded as he started to get a little bit of a ping on his earpiece. Okay, both of you girls start releasing the other slaves. I gotta keep in contact with my group. I'll help out in a minute. The both of them nodded at him as Blaze tapped on his earpiece. Talk to me, Dubstep. Dubstep, who was sitting in the monitoring room with at least 3 bodies on the floor bleeding out to death. Our time is up, so if anybody starts to get suspicious of anything, be ready. I am completely in control of their cameras, but that doesn't stop from the usual guards from doing their rounds. Blaze was annoyed, not really liking when he has to deal with guards, but was also curious on how Fred was doing up above. Have you heard from Fred yet? Dubstep used the cameras from outside the building as he noticed that Fred has finished with the guards by tying them up instead of leading them away. Yeah, he's fine. A little bit deviating from the plan, he captures the guards instead of leading them away. Hopefully that doesn't cause any problems. Blaze shook his head, not liking when his plans are tweaked by the others. Well, radio to him to get to the rendezvous. I'm almost done on my end. Dubstep started to type away at the computer, trying to leave behind a virus. I'm almost done on my end as well. Have everything leaked to the media by morning, so I'll be heading towards the rendezvous now. Blaze smiled at the thought of the association members along with some of the high-class people having been shown on the news tomorrow morning and freaking out. Alright, good luck to you. I'll be there soon. Blaze rushed over to some of the cells that haven't been empty yet as he was helping out the girls. After about 10 to 15 minutes, they were able to get everybody out. seeing that he had a group of at least 100 people trying to get them to stay calm and not freak out. Alright, everybody, listen to me. I know that you have a lot of questions right now, but I need you to stay quiet and listen to me. He waited a moment to see if anybody was gonna go against him. Once nobody said anything, he continued. I need you all to follow me and stay quiet as possible. Try not to be spotted anybody. If everything goes well, you'll be back to your families, or at least you're part of the society in the morning. Seeing that he had everybody's attention, he started to get them down the corridors, only to have to stop every once in a while to knock out a guard that spotted them. Once they got to an exit, Blade made sure that every one of the former slaves got out of the building, pointing towards the forest area for them to go completely straight that would lead them to the police station. But only 2 people in the crowd stopped as they noticed that their hero, known as Void, wasn't coming with them. Toga spoke up curious. Aren't you coming with us, Void? Ina was shaking, but she was standing her ground right next to Toga. That's right, we need to hurry up. We probably wouldn't have gotten this far if it wasn't for you. Blaze looked at the both of them and chuckled a little bit. Oh, don't worry, I have a friend in the forest waiting. He's probably a little bit annoyed with me that I dragged him out this late, but he'll get over himself. I have to go give a message to the people who are trying to buy you all tonight. Toga skipped over towards Void. Then I want to go with you. I have nowhere else to really go, so I might as well follow you and see how far that gets me. Ina rushed over as well, not knowing if she'd be able to get to this friend that Void was talking about if she followed the rest of the group into the forest. Please let me follow you as well. I want to get back home, but I'm scared and you seem to give off a lot of strength. Blaze scratched the back of his head, not expecting the both of them to want to follow him back into the lion's den. I guess, just stay out of sight. Once I'm done here, we'll make it to my personal rendezvous with the group. The unlikely trio made their way back into the warehouse. Once they found the actual stage, Blaze told the both of them to stay out of sight. As he got to the edge of the stage, he was listening to the frustrated worker trying to explain to the crowd that the slaves were let loose, as the crowd did not sound happy to hear that. But then they could all hear clapping as they saw a man all dressed in black walk up onto the stage and snatch the microphone away from the worker. Testing, is this thing on? As he could hear himself over the speakers. Good. To all of those who are wondering who the hell I am, or if you do know who I am, you can call me Void. I am the man who basically ruined your entire auction tonight. And before any of you get up out of your seats to try to attack me, you should know that all the information here tonight has been leaked to the media already, so look forward to being front page news before your entire world gets turned upside down. There was a major gas in the entirety of this auction hall as those of high society types tried to get their way out there as soon as possible. Most of the villains were just staying in their seats, entertained to see what was going to happen next, while those members of the association were angry. They had a good idea who this man was, as they snapped their fingers as a servant who seemed to be standing tall at the table started to walk forward. Blaze noticed this as he was entertained by the idea of fighting another hybrid child. Oh, who is the lucky misfit that I get to deal with tonight? Or should I maybe call you a poor soul because you had to take orders from devils? Man said nothing as he came into the light of the stage, revealing that he was wearing black dress shoes with black dress pants and a gray button-up t-shirt with pale skin, with one of his eyes having a white scalia and a black retina, but the other one had a black scalia with red cracks in it, and the pupil was blood red as red-like tendrils came out of his back. I'm known as Project Ghoul, and I'm going to take you down, Void, for being a hindrance to the association once and for all. Blaze raised an eyebrow from behind his mask, kind of entertained to see what this guy's quirk can do. Bring it on, buddy. Just know that your life ends today and you won't have to suffer anymore. Ghoul ran towards Blaze at an alarming speed as both men actually slammed into the back wall, while Blaze was caught a little bit off guard by the speed, as Blaze had one of his legs wrapped around by a red tendril, slamming him back and forth onto the stage, only for him to then use Shock Finger to blast the ghoul away from him. Okay, not going to lie, that hurt a little bit. As he was getting off of the floor, he could could see that Ghoul was charging at him again as he used Vector Arrow to send the person skyrocketing backwards. Be careful, sometimes constructs on the floor can just make you go the wrong direction. Ghoul got up and ran towards Blaze again, trying to strike him with his tail. Stop joking around, we already know who you are, Project Discord. Blaze glared at the man in rage, being reminded about his past, only for him to switch through his quirks to use Fiber Master on the Ghoul's clothes to restrain his body, making it tighter and tighter as people could start to hear the joints pop out of place. Don't you ever call me that. The last person who did died, and you'll be joining him, but one thing I'll be taking from you before you die. He then walked over and putting his hand on Ghoul's face as his eyes flashed for a second. You have a decent ability. From what I'm reading here on my screen, you could have actually been a threat if you understood your power. So I thank you for making me even more deadly to the association. Ghoul was trying to jerk Blaze's hand off of his face, only for then every joint and bone in his body to be crushed under the fibers that were wrapped around his body. Blood splattered onto the ground as the corpse was dropped at Blaze's feet as he looked over towards the table where the other association members used to be, as they have already fled. Seeing that he had nothing left for him to do here, he went back behind stage to find his two female companions. Yo, Toga, Mina, where are you two hiding? Toga was the first one to come out as she could see Void was covered in blood, which made her blush like crazy. I thought that you looked cute before, but now you look goddamn gorgeous. Mina was a little bit shocked because she was able to see what was happening. You killed that guy. Why? Blaze was ignoring Toga because she was being a little bit weird as he stared directly into Mina's eyes. Because here it's killed or be killed. The association doesn't care what happens to anybody except for their own goals. That's why I stand by my own form of justice, neutral justice. Mina was confused by the term neutral justice. What exactly does that mean? Blaze was looking at his watch as he realized that it took him a little bit longer to get back here and deal with that guy than he wanted. Maybe I'll explain it to you some other time, but we gotta get to the rendezvous point before we're left behind and we have to defend for ourselves. Both of the girls nodded their heads as they understand as they followed Void down a few passageways heading back up towards the surface, only for them to be blinded by the headlights of a van. The door swung open, revealing Dubstep, who motioned for them to get in as all three of them jumped in and drove off like there was no speed limit. What took you so long, Void? I know you like to have a little bit of showboating and be flashy sometimes, but now wasn't the time. We have to meet up with our other teammate before he gets captured. Blaze was laughing his ass off at the idea of one of his members being captured. Look, if they can't capture me, there's no way they'll capture him. If anything, we gotta deal with him bitching about being out so late, so be ready to stop somewhere for food. Red was in the driver's seat as he noticed that there were two more people in the van than usual. Hey, who are those two girls? Blaze realized that he didn't introduce his new friends. Well, the blonde's name is Toga. She'll be joining us from now on, and the pink one is Mina. We're going to be dropping her off at her home once we pick up our other friend. Dubstep had rage in his eyes. Don't you think you should have consoled the both of us before you chose to do stuff like this, especially when one of them is going to be coming back with us to the hideout? Blaze shrugged his shoulders. Not really, because if I remember correctly, I own everything that we're using, down to the costumes, the vehicles, the house, so it really is more up to me when we do stuff. Fred chuckled at that statement as he was swerving in between alleyways trying to get to the next rendezvous point. He's got a point, and besides, even if the blonde tries to become a problem, we can put her down quickly before she leaks anything. Toga was jumping for joy in her seat, knowing that these guys were going to always be entertainment for her until she either has to kill them or run away. So where is the second rendezvous of yours? The van suddenly came to a stop at least a mile away from the police station where they could actually see all the escaped slaves, and out of nowhere they could hear a banging noise coming from on top of the van. As the individual climbed down from on top of it, he then opened the door, being very annoyed as he hopped in and slammed the door shut behind him. What took you guys so long? You know I don't like being out here to begin with, and I don't know how you convinced me to take part in this mission, so you better be ready to make it up to me. He then noticed the two females in the back seat of the van. Who the hell are these two? Blaze just shook his head. One's a new ally and the other one's a drop-off, so where do you want to stop and eat, Aurora? The man twitched as he punched Blaze in the shoulder. I told you before, I'm not doing the stupid codename thing. If they know who I am, that's fine. My name is Ed. Blaze just rolled his eyes in annoyance. Whatever you say, whenever the police or the association show up at your front door, I want to remind you that you didn't want to try to keep a secret identity. Ed just laid back in his seat. It's too much effort to think about stuff like that. And as for what I want to eat, let's go to McDonald's, get something cheap and easy. The entire group of the van just shrugged their shoulders as they made their way to McDonald's to order food. When they finally got up to the window to pay, the cashier was completely shocked as he saw a bunch of people in costumes, some covered in blood, some looking confused, so the person didn't even ask for cash, just giving the food and asking them to leave, so they just drove off. Blaze passed around the food as he then looked towards Mina. "So beautiful, where do you live so we can drop you off at your family's house?" Mina blushed at the compliment as she then explained where she lived. "I really have to thank you again, Void. You and your friends helped me out so much." Blaze slid up half of his mask so his mouth would be revealed so he can eat some of the fries that he got. "Don't mention it, it's just what we do. We can't let the bad guys win." Ed looked over towards Blaze as he started to roll his eyes. "The idea of good and bad guy when it comes to you, Void, is a very loose term." Everybody just started to laugh, even the girls, even though they didn't understand what was so funny. After about a few minutes, they finally dropped off Mina at her house as Blaze and her shared one last hug. She then ran into her family's home as the group drove off. About 3 miles away in a certain location, Ed decided to just jump out of the van. Knowing that he was close to his home, not wanting to go back to base with the others, Toga then looked at the 3 remaining men. "So what's the plan now?" Blaze was thinking about it for a minute as he just lay back in his seat, a little bit sore from being slammed around at the auction house. "Well, we're gonna go back to our main base and take you to our medical wing to give you a full medical exam. We have to check you for any bugs, diseases, or broken bones. After that, we'll give you a room and go from there." Toga shivered a little bit, not knowing how she feels about 3 guys wanting to give her a medical exam, so she decided to play coy and go along with it. "Please be gentle with me, I'm delicate." But that's where I'm going to leave it off this time, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know that this has been taking a while to get out, but sometimes good things take a long time. So with all that said, I'm out this time, guys. Peace.